Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the Virtual Graphic Novel Club. My name's Erica.
And I'm Roland.
And we are joining you today to talk about that's Roland and his feedback. But anyway, we are here to talk about Hispanic American heroes of DC and Marvel. We have a few, but what we want to focus on today were heroes that began as Latinx within the DC and Marvel universe. So we're not going to talk about heroes that basically like maybe changed over in history to be Hispanic or Latino. It's mostly just heroes that started off in the DC and Marvel universe as Hispanic. And to top it off, we don't really have a lot of background, but I am going to speak on some of the background of Hispanic Heritage Month, but the observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon Johnson. And it was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover an entire 31-day period. So this period begins in the middle of September and goes into the middle of October, 31 entire days. It celebrates the different cultures of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. As we have covered in the past, when we highlight, we've done Black History Month, we've done Asian American History Month, we have done LGBTQIA. A lot of times when covering these characters, in the past, there's a lot of representation in comics is important due to the fact that early on in comics, there was a lot of stereotypes and mischaracterization that happened in portraying certain people of color. Marvel, of course, led the way in introducing the first Latin character in comic book history, whose name was White Tiger, in 1975. And it was also created by the George Perez, who trailblazed in the 70s and the 80s with different comics, but he did go to DC and he wrote Wonder Woman. Yeah. He reintroduced Wonder Woman in the 80s, and I believe he also did some Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he does have a Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing, they reintroduced Swamp Thing with him also. So, but George Perez is also of Hispanic heritage, and he wrote the first Hispanic character in comic history. So you have 40 years with no positive representation of Latinx characters in comics from 1938 to 1975, so almost 40 years later. The stereotypes that we were usually introduced to before then were included lazy or exotic. That's how they were portrayed in comics, these characters. But the fun fact is that the early years of comics were mostly written by and drawn by Puerto Ricans and Jews. A lot of them made up a huge population of artists and writers. Timely Comics, which eventually became Marvel Comics during the 1940s, was producing comics for the American consumer. They had Latinx writers and illustrators behind the scenes, but the stereotypes still continued. This was due to the changing time in comics and rewriting characters. Some characters that were once white are now mixed heritage. The characters we discussed today are written as Latinx or Hispanic from origin. One character we're not going to talk about today, but she is of Hispanic origin, is Selena Kyle, who is AKA Catwoman. She after post-crisis, which her character has always been drawn, she has black hair, depending on who the artist is or the illustrator is. But she, in Catwoman number 81, is affirmed to be, she's half Cuban. Her mother is Cuban, her father is, I believe her father is Italian, because she has that Italian mob background. And it was confirmed in Catwoman number 89 that Selena's mother is Cuban, and that in flashbacks with Selena's mom, you see her mother as she's drawn a little bit darker than Selena. She's Latina, but we will not be covering Selena today because her character did not start out as that. And so we're going to jump right into some DC characters that we will cover today.
Okay, the first character that we have that we're going to talk about is the Blue Beetle, aka Jamie Reyes. Now, Jamie Reyes, pronounce it right properly, Reyes. Jamie Reyes is the third individual to bear the name Blue Beetle. He's a teenager from El Paso, Texas, who actually bonded with the Scarab, who had bonded with Dan Garrett. And once he bonded with the Scarab, it gave him an incredible set of alien armor with which he used to defend his hometown from all manner of metahuman criminals. Blue Beetle has been a part of the superhero community in the DC universe in some form since 1939, serving both as a solo adventurer and as part of teams like the Justice League and the Teen Titans, creating one of the greatest heroic legacies in the DC universe. The Scarab gave Jamie a suit of armor that encases his body, giving him powers like enhanced strength. The armor also has technomorphy, which allowed it to form weapons, energy shields, and an energy cannon, and can form other weapons like swords. The armor allows him to fly as well. On occasion, the armor takes over from Jamie, and he has to mentally wrestle control back from the Scarab.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Blue Beetle 2 is that the second Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, who actually ends up training Jamie a little bit, he had no powers. He had no powers. He had to build his suit.
Right.
It was, even though he trained Jamie to use the suit, but that suit that Dan Garrett had would not bond to Ted Kord. Like the alien, I don't think the alien would like Ted Kord too much. And Ted Kord is not like the favorite out of the Blue Beetles. If you watch any of the stuff, like Ted gets drugged a lot.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the stepchild of the Blue Beetles, but he was a good Blue Beetle before his death because he died. But before he died, he did help Jamie with the Scarab. All right, so next on our list is Renee Montoya. Okay, she was first. Detective Montoya was one of Gotham's finest police officers. She is not actually, she's like Harley Quinn. She's not comic. She didn't start off in the comics. She started off on the TV show, Batman, The Adventures of Batman in 1992. They used to come on Fox in the afternoons. She was so popular on the show that they added her to the comics, like they added Harley Quinn too. And so she is a police officer. She ends up becoming the Question here. That's who she is in that picture that's there on the right. But she was partners with, she went from beat cop to be a detective partner with Harvey Bullock. And Bullock is one of Batman's like harshest critics when it comes, like everybody else in the police department kind of embraces Batman, not Harvey. And so her optimism and her open-mindedness compared to his closed-mindedness and kind of oafish behavior, they were a good mix of each other. She's born in America, to Dominican immigrants. She was raised devoutly Catholic and to respect law and order. She followed and instilled childhood beliefs that role of protecting the city, which fostered her as a member of the GCPD. She has unflappable dedication to duty, and a steady rise through the ranks of Gotham finest until then retired Commissioner Gordon had her personally chosen as a member of Maggie Sawyer's elite major crimes unit, a unit that comprised solely of officers that Gordon knew could be trusted in Gotham City. She became the questions after the events of 52, when Vic Sage trained her before he died of cancer. She is still the question and has worked in Gotham, Metropolis, and Bullhaven. She is also connected to another DC character, which is Batwoman, who are they're in an on-again, off-again relationship. A good kind of a tidbit about her storyline: she was one of DC's first openly gay characters. In 1999's No Man Land saga, she teamed up with Two-Face. They were both trapped. That was the saga where Gotham they're pretty much cut off from the outside world, and it's no man's land in Gotham City. And Batman I don't think Batman's there. So it's every man for themselves, and she ends up teaming up with Two-Face, who is a criminal, but they forge a friendship. Two-Face misinterprets their friendship for something more and thinks of it as a relationship, and he pursues Renee during this time and ends up outing Renee out of jealousy when to her family and friends. And she loses all contact with her family because they cut her off, and she ends up this is her turning point in DC Comics, because from this point on, she struggles with alcoholism, gets kicked off the police force after years of alcohol abuse. Like, by the time she gets to be the question, she's lived many lives. So yeah, but she was one of DC's first openly gay characters. And that's Renee.
All right. Next up, the sworn protector of Sector 2814, alongside her partner Simon Baz, we have Jessica Cruz. She's the power ring bearing Jessica Cruz, and she has conquered her fears and brought renewed honor to the Green Lantern Corps. Due to a tragic event in her youth, she suffered from crippling anxiety, and before becoming an official Lantern, she was actually chosen to wear another kind of weapon, the evil ring of Volthoom. Unlike a Green Lantern ring, the ring of Volthoom chooses Jessica for succumbing to fear, not overcoming. Although the ancient ring was at first a corrupting influence and exerted its control over Jessica, she was eventually able to break free and use its powers for good. After an act of self-sacrifice, however, Jessica was given a Green Lantern ring and chosen to become a member of the Corps. Alongside her partner, Simon Baz, Jessica is now one of 2 Green Lanterns assigned to the planet Earth and the other planets in its sector of space. Although she still has a lot to learn and many personal obstacles to overcome, she's proven herself as one of the Earth's most heroic protectors, Jessica Cruz.
Yeah. All right. We have Hawk Girl, Kendra Saunders. Now, when I say Hawk Girl, you're going to see which one, because there have been many. Hawk Girl is an entity. She embodies a human body, and it has been reborn over millennia. Wow, like
over millennia.
Millennia, yeah, because I was trying to think back. I was like, it was before ancient Egyptian times. So, and she is from the alien race. Somewhere in my notes here, but yeah. So there have been many winged female heroes throughout history of the multiverse, but that fight alongside Hawkman. The different iterations of Hawk Girl have served as members of such teams as Justice Society, Justice League, and the Wonders of the World. Although the women have worn the rings of Hawk Girl, have come from different backgrounds and different planets, they've always struck to an opposing figure in the DC superhero lineup. More than often, Hawk Girl has been the Justice Society and the Justice League's secret weapon due to her fighting skills and her ferocity in battle. Suffice to say, she is one of she is fighting an alien invasion or an entire secret society of supervillains. She wields a gigantic mace to have her back. So this particular hot girl, Kendra Saunders, is actually from an alien race. That's where she gets her metal knife. That's it, yes, because I did not write that down, the Thangarians. She's the one that is portrayed in
Flash.
Yes, Flash, also like Legends of Tomorrow, but also the animated Justice League from the 90s and the 2000s. But yes, the body she inhabits is Hispanic origin. So that is why she is on our list. And I believe there have been 2 Kendra Saunders.
Well, Shiara Saunders.
Shiara.
Yeah.
Who I want to say was related, because this particular one is Earth 2.
One is Sanders and one is Saunders.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I have Kendra Saunders and I have Kendra Monas Saunders.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that last one I don't know about. That's a new iteration.
That's this one here. Yeah. So yeah. And I read all up on it, but of course.
Oh goodness. Okay. So
do you want me to take this?
No, I got it. We're going to talk about the Hero Aztec. Now, what is known is that sometimes in the ancient to near historic past, 2 beings fought. One was named Quetzalcoatl, and Quetzalcoatl allegedly defeated the other darker force named, y'all wait for it, Tezcatlipoca. All right, Tezcatlipoca. It's a South American deity.
She told me how to say it.
Oh, okay.
She said Tezcatlipoca.
Okay, so for all those that are listening, it's spelled Tezcatlipoca. Anyway, in the aftermath of the battle, Quetzalcoatl departed to parts unknown, leaving behind his battle helmet and a prophecy that his enemy would return to destroy the world, and that a chosen champion would be prepared and ready to become the vessel of the return of Quetzalcoatl. With their battle concluded, the followers of Quetzalcoatl, however, strayed from the teachings, and he destroyed his human vessel as a gesture to them. Since that day, an organization has existed in order to prepare and train the next vessel for the feathered serpent god on the day of his return. They are the custodians of his original battle helmet and have built up an elaborate conspiracy of influential figures and businessmen across the world. Uno, who was raised from childhood by the secret organization called the Q Society to be the champion of the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, to battle their enemy.
The Aztec god.
The Aztec god, what I said earlier, Tezcatlipoca. He is given a magical suit of armor that bestows many abilities, complementing Uno's peak human mental and physical abilities. After his training is completed, however, he enters the United States and assumes the identity of recently deceased physician Kurt Falconer.
Now, can I pause you there?
Yeah, because that's the first.
Yes, and when I had a question earlier from one of the staff members, and they were saying, well, is he not a white man, blonde hair? But I was like, no, he was raised in Mexico. He is, not to say that all Mexicans have dark hair. Because they were questioning whether he really was, but no, he is.
Did they show him without his helmet? Is that why?
Yeah, she was saying when she looked him up, he has blonde hair. And I was like, well, he takes on the recently deceased physician, Kurt Falconer.
Right.
But he is of Hispanic origin, like Uno is. Now, he took a dead man's identity when he came into the United States.
All right. So now the second Aztec, Nayeli Constant, was a software engineer in Austin, Texas, who was startled by the Aztec helmet bursting into her window and telling her about the millennia-long war against the dark god Texcopolis. She decided to accept the role of the new Aztec and modified the armor to suit her purposes, eventually finding her way to Vanity after the Ray left the city to join the Justice League of America. When he returned from a mission, the two encountered one another and briefly argued about who should protect the citizens of Vanity, but they teamed up to stop a criminal and decided that the city could use both heroes.
Yeah, and Vanity is the home base of Aztec.
Right, the city.
And it's in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
So a very long way from Mexico, yet that's where the helmet ended up.
Right.
All right. Next up, we have Wildcat. Some of you guys may be familiar with Wildcat due to the fact that she's on Stargirl. That is Yolanda Montez. Montez, unfortunately, is no longer in the DC universe. Her character was from 1985 to 1993. She passed away in 93. She was killed. But Yolanda Montez was the second Wildcat. Ted Grant is her godfather. He's the first Wildcat. And she was a member of Infinity Inc. That was also where we talked about, what's the other character in Stargirl?
Oh, Our Man.
So you have Our Man,
Our
but
Man.
the female Our Man. No. What's her name?
Dr.
Is it Dr. Midnight?
I don't know if it's Dr. Midnight. I can't remember.
Yes. Well, that
It may
character
be
also,
Dr. Midnight,
she and Wildcat died in the same
Right,
issue.
right.
And on the same team of Infinity. Yolanda was born to her father, her godfather. Her father was a boxer. Her godfather, Ted Grant, was a boxer also. And he was also the superhero Wildcat. She eventually developed superpowers that gave her feline characteristics. And when Wildcat was injured during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which happened in the 80s, Yolanda decided to succeed him as Wildcat and then joined Infinity Inc. Soon afterwards, Wildcat 2 remained with Infinity Inc. until the team disbanded, but she was later killed battling Eclipso as a member of the Shadow Fighters.
Now, watch this.
Eclipso is on.
I was just gonna say, in this season
of Stargirl,
Stargirl,
is Eclipso.
Eclipso is the one that's attacking them and driving them mad. So I
Yes.
wonder if she even gonna last the season.
See, that's the thing about all of these Stargirl characters, even though I've only watched a little bit of season 1, I haven't finished season 1 yet. Those characters that are in Stargirl,
None of them last
most
long.
of them don't last long. In the DC universe, most of those characters are dead.
All right.
So I wonder how they're going to handle that. It may be an interchanging team, kind of like Legends,
Right.
where people go and come. So
We shall see.
yes.
All right, next up, we have our boy Vibe, Cisco Ramon. He pretty much has a nice legacy. He was the first Latin American DC superhero to become a member of the Justice League of America when he and several other young heroes joined what had been referred to as Justice League
Okay.
Detroit.
Okay.
Now-
I'm gonna pause you. I'm gonna pause you there. Justice League Detroit.
Yeah.
Justice League in the 80s. You know,
Yeah, well-
that small little team of it was led by Aquaman.
Oh, okay.
Justice League Detroit.
All right. Cisco Ramon was a metahuman with the ability to emit intense vibratory shockwaves. At first, he ignored the calling of a hero and resigned himself to be the leader of a local street gang called Los Lobos. But when the original JLA disbanded and was later reformed and set up shop out of his hometown, Ramon took on the codename Vibe and joined the team, where he quickly earned the respect of veteran leaguers like Aquaman and the Martian Manhunter. Although his time with the League was brief, he proved himself a true hero and was fondly remembered by his teammates after he was killed in action. When the history of the DC Universe was reimagined after the events of 2011's Flashpoint, Ramon lived again. In this new history, though, his powers came from being caught in the event horizon of a boom tube during an invasion from Apocalypse, during which interdimensional forces rewrote his DNA. Not only did the new vibe have vibratory powers, but also the ability to create interdimensional portals. Now, this is the vibe that we
That's
see
on
on the CW Flash.
CW
That's the version that we see on Flash. All
I think
right.
a lot of stuff comes from Flashpoint, like Flashpoint was a way for them to
I think
correct.
that was a lot of the TV shows
Mhm.
are post Flashpoint,
Yeah.
basically.
It was a way for them to correct the things that they didn't get to correct in Infinite, like when they closed off the
Right.
universe. This is an Infinite Crisis. Okay. We got another Green Lantern on our list here, Kyle Rayner. He was introduced in 1994 in Green Lantern Volume 3, number 48. Kyle was a talented freelance graphic artist living in Los Angeles before the ring found him. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time after an unfortunate event of a grief-stricken Hal Jordan, who was the original Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, came to destroy the entire Lantern Corps after his hometown of Coast City was destroyed. So basically, Hal has a breakdown, his hometown is destroyed, and he decides to seek, in his grief, his vengeance. Gives him the power of the yellow ring. His green ring becomes a yellow ring, and we all know that the yellow ring builds off fear. And in his fear and in his grief, he destroys the entire Lantern Corps from Earth. So yeah, actually, he destroys the entire Lantern Corps.
Right.
Not just on Earth, but all the lanterns. Kyle Rayner is a high-ranking member of the Green Lantern Corps from Earth. After the rest of the Corps was destroyed, he was the lone lantern. He brought the last power ring and carried on the title. Although he acted alone for many years when the Corps was being reformed, his skill level gave him a position as an honor guard only behind Salik and the Guardians in the chain of command of the Corps. He has also been a host for Ion Entity and a member of the Justice League. If you guys get a chance, we didn't get a chance to really get into, he makes me want to read Green Lantern, because Hal Jordan's act causes a chain of events. He literally is the lone Green Lantern in the universe until they build the Green Lantern Corps back. So he faces a lot of ups and downs and challenges, and also being the fact that he is not able to, what is it? Because of his skill as a graphic artist, it gives him his skill to think of these,
talking about his
the ring,
yeah.
And he has to teach himself a lot of stuff because he doesn't have the Guardians, or he doesn't get to go through the Lantern training that most Lanterns go through.
Now, real quick, before we move to the next one, there was a question in the chat. Had there been any Latinx characters in a DC film? At the moment, I can't think of any. Dana says she can't think of any. I can't think of any either. The only thing that I can say is that the upcoming,
two upcomings.
Well, we have Batman, which will have the Catwoman character with Cuban Moan.
Oh, okay.
That version. And who are the other two that you're thinking of?
The new Flash is going to have the character who plays Supergirl is Flash.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know which Supergirl she will be. I think we theorized on that last week, as she can be the hybrid.
Right.
Which she is of Kryptonian DNA, but it's not Superman's. She was thought to be Superman's daughter, but technically she's not. And the other one is from Suicide Squad, El Diablo.
Oh, El Diablo. Yeah, El Diablo.
Yeah, he is that.
Now, was there anybody in the second Suicide Squad movie? whose character was originally.
There is a character, I don't know if she's in the comics though. She is a outlining character though.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, those are the two I can think of off the top of my head. And, but I can.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next character under DC. If you would move the slide forward.
Oh, sorry.
We have Pedro Pena. He's a member of the Shazam family and also part of the Vasquez Foster family alongside Billy Batson. Basically, he has the special power of strength. And when the New 52 occurred, it rebooted Pedro as just an ordinary child with his foster brother Billy becoming the hero Shazam. So in the New 52, I don't know if he becomes, I haven't read the New 52 version of it, but when we were doing our research, it basically just said it rebooted him as an ordinary child. So I'm thinking that he's just the brother figure to Billy Batson instead of actually becoming superpowered entity.
And in the movie, he is Shazam, the end of Shazam, when he actually gives powers to his siblings, he's in there.
Right.
So he's another character that's in the movies that I'm guessing in 2 will have a bigger role.
Right.
Which they're filming right now.
Yep. So we're on to the next.
Yep. Black Orchid, Alba Garcia. Black Orchid is not, she is the current Black Orchid. She is, I did not know this, she's connected to the green.
Right.
She is a human plant hybrid powered by mystical forces of the green. She's able to transfer her powers and consciousness between host bodies. So it just depends on the host. The original Black Orchid was a criminal named Susan Linden Thorne, who stuck close to her crime scene as she impersonated sentient bystanders. Forgot I wrote that. And she eventually is revealed, Susan possess mystical powers. The current Black Orchid is Alba Garcia. She possesses enhanced strength, stamina, speed, in addition to the supernatural disguise ability. She's a byproduct of their deep connection to the green. And she is worked with Argus, with Steve Trevor, which is also a product. Argus is the parent of the Justice League Dark under John Constantine. So she's teamed up with them a lot. But yeah.
Now we jump into Marvel.
I didn't realize she didn't have, from my notes, I didn't know she had a connection to the red too.
Oh,
Good old
because
Marvel.
she's a human plant hybrid, as the girl should have. Okay, so our first Marvel character, Robbie Reyes. First appearance, all new Ghost Rider, #1, March 2014. Now, Robbie Reyes was a young LA mechanic who finds himself transformed into Hell on 4 wheels as he becomes the new incarnation of the Ghost Rider. The Ghost Rider is a powerful warrior bound to reap the souls of the wicked. When he stole a muscle car, he became possessed by his deceased evil uncle and became a spirit of vengeance. Now, the car belonged to a drug lord known as Grumpy, who had stolen drugs, which transformed users into violent, monstrous forms. And he was working alongside the paramilitary cartel of Mr. Hyde, Calvin Zabel. Now, the drugs got stashed in the trunk, and Hyde's enforcers tracked down the car. They shot Robbie dead and set it on fire after retrieving the drugs. However, sensing Robbie's anger and frustration, Morrow's spirit resurrected Robbie as a weapon of vengeance, akin to other Ghost Riders, complete with a blazing, metal-infused skull-like head and a supernaturally powered car. Now, Reyes is different than men like Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch, who held the title before him. He's younger, more naive, and less prepared for the life of violence, mystery, and high-octane adventure that his new fate has plunged him into. Nevertheless, he balances his familiar responsibilities with cleaning up his neighborhood and keeping the restless spirit possessing him at bay. Now, he is the Ghost Rider that was featured in the ABC show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a whole season.
Really?
Yes, it was pretty dope.
You know, I still have to watch that. People keep telling me to watch it. Yeah. I also, even in my research of him, like just seeing how he's a little bit different from the original Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
It's like with him, it instead of it coming from the depths of hell.
Yeah, he's not a spirit of vengeance. He's a spirit looking for vengeance.
Yes. And from the car, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now you know that he did free himself of the control of his uncle's spirit. But once he was free of that control, he was still able to maintain the power of a Ghost Rider because of an incident where the actual former Ghost Riders actually came in to save him. They saw him as a kindred soul or a kindred spirit, so to say. So that spirit of vengeance, the original spirit of vengeance, actually allowed him to keep the powers because he can give the penance stare as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he used that power to become an Avenger later on.
Okay. All right, next on our list, Power Man. This particular Power Man's first appearance was in 2009's Daredevil #1. Teenager Victor Alvarez was born in Hell's Kitchen and raised in Hell's Kitchen in New York City. His mother is Rayner
Alvarez.
And his father is a criminal named Shade.
Who was actually in Luke Cage.
Did not finish.
He's the Hispanic guy that always had the shades.
Oh, that was his dad?
Yes.
Okay. See, if they would have continued that series, we would have had so many more characters.
Right.
During Victor's teen years, his father left the family, and he was raised by his mother, a single mom. But in his teenage years, he attempted to reconcile with his father, Shades, and their old tenement building was destroyed in a superhero battle between Daredevil and Bullseye, killing all present except for Victor, who survived because of Shade's energy protecting visor shattered, embedded into Victor's skin with a bioelectric energy absorbing crystal shards, which left him permanently absorbing every resident's chi, aka life force, and erecting a force field from Javier de Paz, a former student of Iron Fist School of Thunder. He absorbed mastery of the Kulan, which was a martial arts.
Come on.
Now, that sounds like the same thing.
That's what Iron Fist. That's what they're saying. He basically absorbed Iron Fist because he trained under Iron Fist.
So he can absorb people's chi. So he's kind of like Rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he lived by absorbing every chi in the building. All 107 were killed except for him. But he was the sole survivor. And his father died too, and he's able to absorb chi. He has worked with Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and someone else. Someone else that when I was reading about him.
He worked Misty Knight.
Yes, Misty Knight. It was the Knight, that little group that they had. So he is Power Man, and he protects Spanish Harlem.
Yeah, they let him take the Power Man name because Luke Cage had left and started working with the Avengers.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So he's not Harlem's hero for hire, he's Spanish.
He's
Harlem.
Spanish Harlem. No. I saw the distinction.
Yeah.
I saw the distinction.
All right, okay. Next up, we have a major character that I'm sure that you are all aware of.
Mhm.
We have Spider-Man. His first appearance, Ultimate Fallout #4, August 2011. This version of Spider-Man, emerging from a universe in need of a new Spider-Man. His name, Miles Morales. He rose to the challenge. Reluctant at first, he quickly earned the mantle of a superhero. In this alternate reality, Miles Morales follows in the footsteps of the slain Peter Parker to become the masked superhero. In his original reality, Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, sought to recreate the circumstances that created his arch nemesis, Spider-Man Peter Parker. In his efforts at Oscorp, a genetically enhanced spider known as Specimen 42 was unknowingly stolen by Aaron Davis, a high-tech thief known as the Prowler. Now, Davis was the uncle of Miles Morales. And when basically on a visit to see his uncle, Miles Morales went to his uncle's apartment, he always visited his uncles to talk about, how his day went and sports and everything. And what ended up happening is that spider crawled out of the bag that his uncle brought from Oscorp, and Miles was bitten by the spider. He soon realized that he had superhuman abilities. The parents did not approve of Miles'
Hanging out.
relationship and hanging out, with his uncle. So the day that he was bitten by the spider, he was actually at his uncle's house just to tell him that he won the lottery to enroll at the prestigious Brooklyn Visions Academy. He briefly had a brush with superheroics when saving people from a burning building. After talking things over with his closest confidant, Genki Lee, however, he decided that this life wasn't for him. Now, we all know that he has continued to be the Spider-Man.
He kind of has it's that same, because the universe he's from,
Peter Parker died.
Peter is dead. He was killed by Green Goblin. They both died actually together. So Green Goblin's not even in that universe, and neither is Peter Parker. Gwen Stacy is still alive, and Gwen Stacy is Spider-Woman, I believe.
She's I want to say it's Spider-Girl. She's not Spider-Woman. She has that white. She has that white hooded, white, black, and pink. Spider costume.
So that Gwen Stacy is still alive and is a little bit older than him, but she gives him the advice that Uncle Ben gave her. Right. With great power comes great responsibility.
Now and all of these characters, you can see all these characters on the Spider-Man animated feature Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to our next.
Echo. Now, Echo premiered in Daredevil #9 in December 1999. Her name is Maya Lopez, and she was the father of a chain gangster.
Was she the father?
I'm sorry, she was the daughter. Maya Lopez's father, a Cheyenne gangster, was killed by his partner in crime, the Kingpin. The last wish of her father was that Fisk raised the child well, and the wish that Kingpin actually honored in caring for her as if she was his own. Believed to be mentally handicapped, actually, and something that should be mentioned on the top, Maya is deaf.
Right.
So they thought she was mentally disabled, and so he sent her to this expensive school for learning disabilities. There she managed to complete and replicate songs on the piano, and after that she was sent to another expensive school for prodigies. So they just flipped it. And because she did not have a learning disability at all, she was deaf, and she gets her name Echo from the fact that she can mimic what you do. So upon visiting her father's grave one day, she asked Fisk how he died, and Fisk lied to her and told her that Daredevil had killed him. Maya grew up and was sent by Kingpin to Matt Murdock to prove Matt's weakness. He told her that Matt believed he was a bad person and that she was the only way to prove him wrong. As Maya believed him, it would not appear to be a lie to Matt, because as we know, Daredevil can tell when you're lying. One of his gifts. Matt Murdock and Maya soon fell in love, and I did not think about this when I was doing my notes on this, but I was like, wait a minute. If she thought Daredevil killed her father.
Well, she didn't know that Daredevil was Murdoch at the time.
Yeah, but that means
Kingpin knew.
Yeah.
And so he sent her
of course.
to prove.
What I'm thinking is the age gap between these two. Because her father died when she was an infant, like she was a baby. So
right. So maybe we're gonna hope that she was like in her.
She's in her 20s, but I'm just saying Matt Murdock is not in his 20s.
Oh no.
Matt Murdock is probably in his 40s.
Well, you know what? They since this is a retcon and this was Daredevil number 9 from 1999. Come on, now, Daredevil came out like way back when. So
but Daredevil
maybe they rejumped it. No, I'm saying, but maybe because they restarted it.
Yeah.
Even though he's older, maybe he's only in his early 30s. You know.
I'm going to go with yours because it makes me feel a whole lot better than a 40-year-old.
Like I said, they restarted the series, so we restarted.
I'm just gonna go with yours because that makes me feel more comfortable here. They begin dating, and they fall in love, but she is running around as Echo, and just that's her alter ego. She's hunting Daredevil down, not knowing that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. She's studying Bullseye and Daredevil's fights. She's learning his strengths and weaknesses. And again, she can mimic what you do. It was Echo in
I'd have to go back and watch. I don't think she was. Oh, wait a minute. Are in the Netflix or in the movie?
In the movie.
I don't remember her.
Deadpool.
In Deadpool?
Is that
no.
her? Who was that?
I think that's Domino.
Domino, that's right. Okay. Echo is in the upcoming Hawkeye.
Oh, okay.
Hawkeye show.
Right.
She's a character that's going to be pursuing them.
Oh, okay.
If you've seen the trailer for the new Hawkeye, well, what's her name? Her name is not Hawkeye.
Yeah. Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop?
She's the new Hawkeye.
Okay.
That's the Hawkeye. Yeah. Hawkeye
Echo is going to be in that series.
Oh, okay, cool.
So she is watching them and figures out that Matt is Daredevil. So Matt manages to correct the Kingpin's lies, and revenge, Echo confronts Fisk and shoots him in the face, blinding him and starting a chain of events that will eventually lead to his downfall. He later recovers his eyesight through reconstructive surgery, but he is arrested and goes to prison after this. Her horror and her actions and all the lies that she has heard from growing up with Fisk leads her to do some soul searching. So she goes away for some time, comes back, but by this time Matt has moved on, but Kingpin is still alive, and she visits Kingpin in prison, and he does not blame her for shooting him, nor does she, and he actually tells her that he loves her as a daughter still. This confuses Maya even more, and she goes off again. And she comes in contact with someone called the Chief, which is a friend of her father who is dead. And he, kind of like a wise man. And so he sends her on a vision quest to claim her soul. And on her quest, she meets none other than the one and only James Logan, Wolverine. And he helps her recover and maybe attributes to her picking up some of her Japanese values and knowledge of the Japanese underworld. Echo makes peace with her past and does it through, she's an artist also. She ends up staying in Japan. So a lot of her character does have a Japanese influence because of it. She's in Japan watching, making sure that Elektra stays in line because she has connection. Maya has a connection to the Hand and that whole side of the Japanese underworld. So she's kind of over there. She stayed in Japan to watch, make sure things stay in line. But she's been linked to Secret Avengers. She worked with them.
Oh, New Avengers.
New Avengers?
Yeah.
Not the Secret Avengers?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, all right. I think someone recommended her to Captain America. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. She took on the mantle of Roman.
Right.
That's why she also stayed in Japan too. Roman, who also was,
Okay.
yep,
Mhm.
so many connections.
All right. So next up, we have Miss America, or better yet, America Chavez.
Yes.
To keep it short and sweet, she was born to and raised by her mothers, Amelia and Elena Chavez. She was born in what is known as the utopian parallel, a paradisal dimension outside of time and space of the multiverse. And this place actually lives in the presence of the demiurge, which is basically an interdimensional force of nature, basically.
Yeah.
After her parents sacrificed themselves to save the utopian parallel, America was orphaned and later found by a family on the beach who raised her until she got her memories back. She's been a member of the Teen Brigade, the Young Avengers, and A-Force. She spent a lot of her childhood adventuring in many dimensions, with her powers protecting her from harm. By her early teens, she resided on Earth 616, where she joined Ultimate Nullifier's Teen Brigade, a covert cadre of super operatives, as well as the Young Avengers, to stop a powerful mind-controlling parasite.
Yeah, I mostly know her from the Young Avengers.
Right.
All right, next on our list is Nova, another one that I was questioned about. Was he actually Hispanic, of Hispanic
Let
origin?
me answer that real quick.
No, I know.
Well, no, I'm just saying, a
Yeah.
lot of people, when they hear Nova, they
And
think of
yeah.
the original Nova.
Exactly.
They don't know that, like in the cartoons,
Mhm.
you know, they show him as a little kid, a
Yeah.
teenager.
Yeah.
And that's the Hispanic one.
Yeah, that's, yeah. The one we're gonna talk about, even his name doesn't sound Hispanic, Jesse Alexander.
All right.
His father, his name is Sam Alexander. He is Nova. He is Nova through the helmet, though. He, to be a Nova, or in the Nova Corps, is an intergalactic peacekeeping force. He inherited the helmet from his father. His father is Jesse Alexander.
Right.
Jesse gave up his mantle of being a Nova when his wife became pregnant. I believe her name is Victoria, but I don't think I wrote it down. But I believe her name is Victoria. She is Mexican American. When Jesse is born, Sam gives up Nova, but he becomes sort of like a regular guy. And in his regular guy state, he ends up becoming an alcoholic. And Jesse kind of is picking up after his father.
Well, Jesse is the father. I think we got.
I'm sorry, Sam picks up
yeah.
after the father. So Sam, when his father can't go to work, Sam is doing the work for him. Like, it's a lot of that. And really the depression is from him Jesse used to be a Nova, this intergalactic crime fighter. And when he drinks too much, Sam thinks that it's just his father's drunken stories. Until one day, Black Nova Titus led a Shatari invasion. I've heard of that before.
Yes, those are the same aliens that invaded Earth in Avengers and Captain America in the MCU.
Yes.
They're the same ones that Loki brought to Earth.
Okay, so then the planet, they are planet destroyers.
Right.
Jesse allies at the time, like when he was a Nova, was Rocket Raccoon and Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. They enlist Jesse's aid, but Titus captures him and under unrevealed circumstances enslaves Jesse's transfer of his helmet. And the instructions in the recording of the helmet was to give the helmet to Sam. Rocket was hoping that Sam could replace him as Nova, having suffered a skateboarding accident and a head-related injury. Sam was recovering in the hospital, and he's visited by Rocket Raccoon and Gamora. So I can imagine being in the hospital with a head injury and these two visiting me and thinking that it was all a dream. And that's what he thinks until he dons the helmet and he becomes Nova. And he goes to, with the father's message, he goes to Earth's moon where he meets Uatu the Watcher, who we've all seen in the What If series. If you have not watched it, it is excellent. And it's over. He has superhuman strength, durability, and can manipulate various different energies and can fly at warp speed, all through the helmet.
Right. All right, next.
Yeah, so Firebird.
We have our Catholic social worker of Mexican ancestry, Bonita Juarez. She was wandering her beloved desert outside Albuquerque, New Mexico, when a fiery meteor struck mere feet away from her. Miraculously unharmed, she discovered she now had supernatural power over flames, which she used days later to foil a convenience store robbery. Juarez took the costumed alias Firebird and protected the American Southwest, both alone and a member of the short-lived Rangers team. She had many adventures with the West Coast Avengers and a revived but short-lived Rangers team. She left and went on a spiritual retreat and came back as a social worker and as Firebird. She became an adventurous reservist, aiding the team against various foes such as the Awesome Android, the Acts of Vengeance Conspiracy, Atlantean Invaders, Surf, Morgan Le Fay, and Dominex, and helping monitor the captured Blood Wraith and an alien invasion of Madripoor. She has declined several offers of full-time Avengers membership as she is devoted to her church work, but she did temporarily join the active roster for the duration of the Kang Dynasty War, helping liberate Earth and successfully counseling a disillusioned Thor. During the Civil War, Firebird registered with the SHRA, but following the news of Goliath's death, traveled to New York and joined the Secret Avengers. After Captain America's surrender, Bonita was one of the many people who accepted amnesty and now serves the initiative as one of the Texas Rangers.
Good old Firebird. All right, White Tiger. This is a beauty. There have been 3 White Tigers.
Well, actually, it's been 5 of them, but we're only going to talk about 3 because.
Oh my gosh.
Well, these 3 are the Hispanic one. There's one where there's a white guy who became White Tiger, and the other one is a product of the High Evolutionary, where he turned the Bengal tiger into the White
according
Tiger.
to my notes, those are not the same White Tigers.
No, I'm saying they're not.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's in Marvel Comics there have been 5.
But yes, there are 5. But this particular White Tiger is the same. It's the same talisman.
Right.
Yeah.
These 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
These family members,
Right.
technically. So we have White Tiger number 1, who was introduced in 1975. He is the original Hector Ayala.
Ayala.
Okay. He's a Puerto Rican immigrant studying at New York City's Empire State University, and he comes upon mystical amulets shaped as tiger's head and paws. They were recently discarded by the crime-fighting team known as the Sons of the Tiger. When he wears the amulet, he found himself to be endowed with strength and reflexes of 3 men. He decides to become a hero and calling himself the White Tiger. This is the first introduction of a Latino superhero in any universe, DC or Marvel or any, but he's the first of the majors, 1975, remember that. He becomes the White Tiger, he fights crime, but eventually decides to settle down. He and Spider-Man are good friends, such good friends and best friends that they reveal their secret identities to one another at the time. They team up to protect New York, and Hector would end up leaving the superhero fight. He gets married. He returns the ambulance to a detective called Blackbird, and he's a friend of the Sons of the Tiger, and with instructions to return the amulet to them. He goes back to a normal civilian life, marries his longtime girlfriend. After some time, the marriage ends up in trouble, and he decides to go back to find the ambulance and start fighting crime again because he can't really deal with the things going on in his marriage. He shows up to a robbery in progress, and he arrives too late to help stop the robbery at the pawn shop. And in the process of that, the police officer that is responding gets shot. When the two thugs manage to overpower Hector, they escape, leaving him with the stolen goods of the TV and standing over the dead policeman. So they arrest Hector. Hector is sent to trial. Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and Foggy Nelson are his counsel, but the trial goes from bad to worse, and he loses his temper in the courtroom after being questioned about his marriage. And ultimately, a guilty verdict is returned, and overreacts. He grabs the gun from a security guard as he tries to flee the courthouse and is confronted by police and shot before Matt can tell them that he is innocent. He dies. The second white tiger is his niece, Angela Del Toro, who is an FBI agent.
Yeah, she's the fourth, right? Yeah, she would actually be the fourth in the comic. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I overreacted. My bad. I was reading two things.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I was like,
When you said the next, she is the next in his family line.
In his family
Yes.
line. Okay, because I was like,
My bad.
so she is the next. She's a federal agent, and she volunteers in an ongoing FBI investigation into Matt Murdock. But Hector's ambulance are handed down to her during this time. She's overwhelmed with the responsibility of being, like, she's given these amulets, but she asks why she would be willing to quit the FBI and abandon her cases to become White Tiger. And Murdoch challenges her to scale the St. Catherine's Cathedral and have a rooftop combat with Daredevil. He's convinced of her ability, and in her final lesson, leads her to a robbery in progress where she subdues the robber single-handedly. Angela's proud of the work she's done and awestruck, and so she decides to become White Tiger. The current White Tiger in the Marvel Universe is Ava Ayaya, who is the sister of Hector. She is the current one. She has inherited the ambulance also, and she holds it with pride right now.
All right. Our next character. Oh, we got one more after him. This next character is one of the founding members of the New Mutants, Roberto da Costa, better known as Sunspot. Bobby was a mainstay of the junior team for most of his existence and became best friends with his teammate, Sam Guthrie, better known as Cannonball. He is the son of Brazilian millionaire Emmanuel da Costa and his American wife, Nina. Roberto first manifested his superhuman mutant powers at the age of 14 during a soccer game. When he was attacked by some guys that were throwing basically anti-racial remarks or whatever. And when his powers manifested, basically he and his clothing turned pitch black. Okay. Now, this basically scared everybody. He didn't attack anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. But because he could harness and project solar radiation, energy, and heat, he basically looked like a solar eclipse happening right there on the field, and which basically scared the stadium into basically a rampage. Right. So after regaining his senses, Da Costa was abandoned by all except for his girlfriend, Juliana. This attracted the attention of Donald Pierce, the renegade white bishop of the Hellfire Club, who attempted to kidnap Da Costa but failed, taking Juliana instead. Charles Xavier intervened, sending his formative New Mutants to help Da Costa confront Pierce. In the battle, however, Juliana took a bullet meant for Bobby. Consumed with grief and anger, Da Costa helped defeat Pierce and accepted Xavier's invitation to join the New Mutants. taking the code name Sunspot because he served with the New Mutants, learning more about his powers and participating in many adventures. He was later blackmailed into joining the Hellfire Club by its Black Queen, Selene. Selene originally taunted Sunspot by claiming that the Damocles Foundation, formerly run by Gideon, was seeking to begin a new experiment similar to the process that created Rainfire. The two raced to stop it, and they were joined by X-Force. However, Selene wanted the process for herself, and she subdued Sunspot and X-Force. She then offered to resurrect the spirit of Juliana, Sunspot's first love, in exchange for his agreement to become a member of her new Hellfire Club. Sunspot, distraught, agreed, although Juliana was resurrected in the body of an unknown girl. Sunspot agreed, although whether or not he was truly reunited with Juliana was never revealed. Recently, Sunspot left the Hellfire Club after also forming a new Brotherhood of Mutants along with other former New Mutants. And now he is an instructor of the Young X-Men team. Sunspot.
And last on our list is Falcon, AKA Joaquin Torres. Joaquin first appeared in October 2015 in Captain America, Sam Wilson #1. He is actually a human / Falcon. He was born in Mexico and at the age of 6 moved to Tucson, Arizona with his mother and his grandmother. As a teenager, he becomes a Samaritan, providing food and water and medicine to border crossers. At age 17, while on a water run, a racist group called the Sons of Serpent kidnapped him, taking him to New York to Dr. Carlin Mullis, AKA Dr. Carl Mullis. I've heard of that name before, to be experimented upon and performing genetic experiments on Joaquin in using the vampire Falcon Red Wings genetic material. Mullis turns him into Falcon human hybrid, which gives him wings and regenerative healing factor and a psychic link to Red Wing, the Falcon bird, and Sam Wilson, the original Falcon and current Captain America. He is in the MCU. He was featured in Falcon Winter Soldier TV show, but he has not had that, right. He's a soldier on there. He has not taken up the moniker of Falcon Dude #2. And that is all we have for today. Thank you guys for sticking with us through this. And if you want to learn a little bit more, here are some of the worksite that we used and some of our notes. One that I do recommend if you do have the time is The Secret Identity of Race and Exploring Ethnic and Racial Portrayals in Superhero Comics. It is available online. Someone's dissertation. So it's really good though. And if you don't have Comics Plus, you can borrow and read thousands of digital comics, graphic novels, mangas in Clayton County with Comics Plus. You have to have a Clayton County library card, and you can check them out immediately, no holes, and you can download them to your device so you can access them offline when you are not connected to your wireless. Sign up at that website there. And please join us in 2 weeks as we will be covering the horror comics of Marvel on October 12th, 2021. This is Roland's baby here. So join us on October 12th, spooky month, as we dive into horror comics. And we'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you then.